Austin 316. The Austin era is here. I have made it to the Attitude Era WrestleManias. You know what? I was almost stopping at WrestleMania 2 when I started doing these rating videos. And at 9, I was honestly like, fuck it, I'm done. Like, that was a really hard show to rewatch. But I'm here, WrestleMania 14, and the Attitude Era is in full swing. 8 matches took place. All were 2 stars and above. In 8th place was the Light Heavyweight Championship match of the night. Taka Michinoku defeated, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name. He was only 19 years old at the time. He was wearing a mask. The youngest WrestleMania competitor, I think. Him and Taka Michinoku put on a decent 2-star match, a lot of high spots. There wasn't much psychology going on with this match, so I can't rate it higher than a 2-star, but it was short and sweet and fairly entertaining. The opening match of the night was a huge battle royal. It's my 7th place spot. Won by LOD. Huge battle royal, 30 WWF superstars altogether. Even the Quebecers were brought back, I think, for this match. LOD, they came out with Sonny, who was a fucking 10. Well, I'm allowed to say that. Is that politically incorrect to find women attractive these days? In 1998, there's none of this political bullshit. Bring me back to the 20 years ago. Oh, seriously, I'm fed up of living in this. I'm offended. The world we live in today. Oh, I'm going to totally end up in jail one day. I'm going to offend someone, somehow, somewhere. Yeah. The joys. So I'm going to enjoy my freedom while I have it. LOD win this match. Last eliminating Bart Gunn and Bob Holly. Always nice to see Jim Cornette at these events. 6th on my list is The Rock, whom tapped out to Ken Shamrock in this match, 2-star match. It didn't really go on long enough for me to give it more than a 2-star. And I loved Ken Shamrock during this time. And The Rock, he was really starting to become a star here in his 2nd WrestleMania appearance. But the decision was reversed when Ken Shamrock snapped. He really played that snapping maniac character very well, Ken did. He was very believable. He was the first ever UFC Super Fight champion. And he legit badass. Didn't get much tougher than Ken Shamrock. But he failed to capture the Intercontinental Championship here because he snapped and wouldn't let go of the ankle lock. And The Rock technically won the match due to Ken Shamrock's poor sportsmanship. The next match was Sable. Next match on my list, rather, was Sable teaming up with Mark Merrow to take on Goldust and Luna in a 2-star match, and Sable was so over. She was the most over person on the roster here in 1998. Can't take that away from her. She might have not been the best ever wrestler, women's wrestler, but she played her character pretty damn good, and the crowd just loved Sable. And this was a fairly entertaining match, 2 stars out of 5. Foley and Funk defeat the New Age Outlaws in a dumpster match. This was the stunt show here. There's a particularly bad spot. It looked, you could clearly see, or hear rather, Mick Foley calling for Billy Gunn over for a spot to knock the Road Dogg out of the way, then Mick would throw himself into the dumpster. That was a bit too obvious. This is really a stunt show, spot fest, like many of the TLC matches and Money in the Bank matches that would come later on would be about. Not much psychology, but it was entertaining, and I enjoyed JR's commentating. This was the first Mania where it was the King and JR. It's really hard to pick between them. and Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan as to who was the better team at commentary. But it might just be Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. But you know what, Jesse Bonaventura, he was very good. I missed him after 6. And later on, Paul Heyman was, fantastic at X7. I think the definitive wrestling commentary team might just be Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. But I mean, Bobby Heenan and Monsoon were fantastic at WrestleMania 8. So it is, the commentary in all the WrestleManias until Michael Cole came along was, you couldn't fault it. Even Vince McMahon, I liked Vince McMahon's commentary. He was much better at commentating than he was picking what stars to push down our throats. So my third best match tonight was Triple H defeating Owen Hart. Owen Hart felt a little bit out of place in this show. He didn't have an outlandish gimmick like the rest of them seem to have. But, him and Triple H put in a very solid match. Sergeant Slaughter was on the outside with Chyna. He was handcuffed to her to try and restrain Chyna from interfering in the match. It didn't work, of course. Triple H picks up his second WrestleMania victory in a row. 3 stars between Owen Hart and Triple H. Now the match itself only gave 3 stars, The Undertaker versus Kane, but this storyline into this matchup is the best ever storyline WWF's ever produced, ever. This was an outstanding storyline. I think this storyline was one of the reasons that fans started coming back in to watch the World Wrestling Federation. I remember it was just like bad blood time. Kids at school that had never liked wrestling before started getting into it round about that time. And a lot of it was to do with the storyline, Kane and The Undertaker. 2 cartoon characters, or comic book characters rather, coming to life here. Kane could have ended The Undertaker's winning streak with the choke slam, but didn't take the fall. He picked up The Undertaker and wrestled a bit more. Of course, that backfired. The Undertaker went 7-0 here. It was a praise. Some good work here from The Undertaker, from Kane. I think Kane would develop into a better wrestler down the years. Undertaker was pretty solid here. And I love seeing Paul Bearer. Great chemistry with The Undertaker. Miss Paul Bearer. He was one of the best managers of all time, for sure. And number 1 spot, what else could I go with? Other than Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels, my 2 favorite wrestlers. In the main event of WrestleMania 14, Special Enforcer Mike Tyson knocked out Michaels after the match. Won by Steve Austin, of course. The Austin era began. Now, I only give it 3 stars out of 5. I know. What the hell? But you can maybe blame Shawn's injury at time or his head not being in the game. But these 2... at WrestleMania, this specific match, I think their King of the Ring match was actually better from the year before. But this should have really got either 4 stars or 5 stars. If Shawn Michaels' head was in the game, if he didn't have an injury, I think this would have tore down the house. But it didn't. I've got to be honest, it didn't. The moment with Austin winning with the stunner and becoming champion, that is. It doesn't get much better than that. It was a Mania moment of all time. Or, one of the biggest Mania moments of all time. And, but the match itself, it was the match of the night, but it could have been better, I think. But overall, I really enjoyed WrestleMania 14, the atmosphere, the crowd really into it. I missed the Attitude Era crowds. They were loud throughout. Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, very, very good together. And of course, I love watching WrestleManias where the last image you see is Austin as the champion. And he was the man. The greatest of all time in my book. What more can I say? 998. was a great year for wrestling. Probably one of the most memorable wrestling years ever, especially that McMahon and Austin feud, which saw the WWF take over the wrestling world again as #1, and it hasn't, it's been like that ever since. Thank you to Stone Cold Steve Austin, the greatest of all time.